What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 12 of the Southern University Club podcast. It's your boy Al.
And this BJ Jones.
And look, we got a jam-packed show for y'all tonight. Um, we got a lot of news coming out of Southern University. It's been a very busy past week with a lot of events, a lot of happenings going on the bluff. So we just go kind of kick it off first with our Southern University men's basketball team. This is the first season for Kevin Johnson with the Southern University basketball team. We just had 3 games this and then in the past week and a half. I think everybody is liking what we see. Over those 3 games, we went 1-2. The first game was a loss to TCU, 108-75. Then we got a big win in Las Vegas over the UNLV Running Rebels, 85-71, which was a 14-point win. But I think a lot of the game at one point we were up by 30 at one time. And then just this past Monday, we lost to Arizona 97-59. Even though we are 1-2, we do see some signs of scrappiness. Early in that Arizona game, who's the number 3 team in the country, I think we were tied 19-19 with maybe 10 minutes left in the first half. So obviously the talent is there, the scrappiness is there to keep up with the top teams in the country. We got Terrion Joseph, who's currently averaging 19.7 points a game. And as a team, we're averaging 38% from 3-point range, which is pretty good to me. And I'm liking what I see moving forward. And I just can't wait for SWAC play.
Man, one thing about this basketball team is they've been exciting. No, we're only 3 games in, but it's an exciting brand of basketball. And something that people have been clamoring to see for a while. So, man, shout out to Coach Johnson. I had an opportunity to speak with him the same day that we played Alcorn. And just to listen to his enthusiasm and where he felt that he could take the basketball program was definitely exciting, to say the least.
Most definitely. I think we have a game that's coming up Friday against Western Illinois, who I think also is 1-2, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully we can stack up these non-conference wins right now and, kind of build our resume moving forward going through SWAC. Hopefully win the SWAC championship so we can get a good bid for the NCAA tournament. So next on the agenda, the Southern University Athletic Director Roman Banks confirmed that Coach Eric Dooley, former head coach of the Southern University Jaguars, has been fired and will be looking forward to making a decision on a new coach in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I guess we can kind of talk about it and talk about what Dooley's done over the past 2 years. BJ, you think it was time for Dooley to lead the Bluff where he got some of his grounding at under Pete Richardson?
Yes. If you look at that football program, the football product that we've seen over the last 2 seasons, there's not been a lot of difference between season 1 and season 2
Mm-hmm.
on the offensive side of the football. The defensive unit has been the calling card of this football team for the last 2 years, and if it wasn't for them, um, man, things will look a lot different. But what you saw was that defensive unit has started to wear down. And we've seen that over the last couple of weeks. And we started against Texas Southern. We barely got out of that one by the skin of our teeth. Then you had the Alcorn State game, which we just looked bad all the way around. And then for a half on Saturday, the offense looked like, hey, this might be one of the most impressive outings we may have had offensively. 21 points in the first half, but then you follow that up with 0 points in the second half and only 57 total yards. and the penalty yardage, began to ramp up again. We're talking about, not only the offensive woes, the lack of creativity on offense, but this football team is honestly just being undisciplined.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was a brand of football that Jaguar Nation had grown tired of. We want to be honest with you, since last year, but we came into the season optimistic that things would change, and it looked like more of the same.
And I agree. I don't. I wouldn't say it was time. I figured the administration would give Dooley another opportunity. I do think Dooley has had some bad luck with the quarterback situation, particularly this year and the summer before with the recruiting cycle. However, the year before, the quarterback situation was a real big stain on Dooley's resume. Um, obviously, we had Bashawn McCray pretty much the whole season, and then we get down to the SWAC championship. Obviously, Bashawn McCray is only able to put up 0 points in 6 quarters on Jackson State. And then Bubba McDaniels gets in and puts up, I think, 24 points in basically one half against Jackson State. And that kind of shows how bad Dooley's decision making was on putting the best trigger man out there for us last year. And you can even say that this year. We have two good freshman quarterbacks on the team, and also Biden on the team also, who very much had limited opportunities. I think if you have a good decent quarterback who's um, throwing percentage is above 65%. I mean, you're looking at a different team right now. We might even be talking about a SWAC championship possibility right now, but that isn't the case. Like you said, the offense looked vanilla. I mean, I think we kind of saw the first glimpse of some trick plays in the last game we played against Prairie View with some backdoor screens. Um, I can't remember what type of play that was. We ran on the go. Oh, we put Dylan at quarterback. Putting those type of trinkets in the offense. I mean, you can tell that wasn't Dooley calling the plays. So that just some of the things to show you um, where Dooley fell off, and I think that caused his demise and his firing, which we saw on yesterday. So.
Yeah, and the thing about a quarterback, man, is that I'm a belief of this. If you don't have a certain quarterback, then adjust your scheme to what you have.
Hmm.
To ask a quarterback to go out there and run a scheme that they're not comfortable with, and you're going to force the round peg into that square hole, that's a reason why the school decided to not go forward.
Hmm.
As a coach, one of the things that you have to do is you have to be able to adjust, and we didn't see a lot of adjustment. I'm not sure how good or how bad the quarterbacks are, because if I'm looking at, if the quarterbacks are looking the same, then that leads me to believe that's more system than the individual player.
Right.
The best this offense has looked in 2 years was for one half against Jackson State last year in the SWAC championship game.
Correct.
That's the best this offense had looked at any point, and that's not a good thing.
Right. And some people say it's not the quarterbacks, it's the coach. And like you said, you got to make adjustments. And I think one of the things Banks mentioned today in the press conference was the lack of accountability Coach Dooley showed after losses, and kind of owning up to that. Um, and that was one of the things. Every press conference he say, "Oh, I'm standing on what I decided. We decided to run the ball with less than a minute left and one time out. And if I was in that situation again, I'll do it again." That's one of the things as fans you look at. That's the wrong philosophy for a football game, a football team. And so then you put yourself in that pickle, and now you got people asking questions. You even put your AD in a bad spot. When the media is asking him questions. So he pretty much had no choice but to make the decision for to part ways with Coach Dooley. So,
Remember that ball game in Jackson, Mississippi, a year ago, almost about a year ago,
hmm
and the question was asked by Jim Klein Peter, Coach, looking at what Bubba McDaniel did, um, do you regret not starting him or putting him in the game earlier to give your team an opportunity? And you remember the answer to that question?
not verbatim, but
No, absolutely not. We made the right decision. And that answer ticked a lot of people off. And
oh
you
yeah,
saw similar answers. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't do anything. It's been fixed. We were going to scratch where it itches. We've been hearing a lot of things being said, but not a lot of progress. And then, unfortunately, man, at a place like Southern, you're not able to stay around and do that.
no, not in this point in time where people want instant success. Um, and I just look back, maybe if Coach Dooley makes the right decision last year after the TSU game and changes quarterbacks, puts Bubba McDaniel in, we might be looking at least a SWAC championship last year. I'm not sure about this year how the quarterback position will play out, but we're looking at a whole new vision of what we're looking at SU football. So, oh yeah,
It,
man, TSU was hot out there, number one, but just to look at the lack of offense and the lack of
Creativity.
adjustment at the TSU game last year was just crazy. I mean, we all thought Coach Dooley would make a quarterback change at halftime after I think he didn't thrown two or three picks in the first half, but no, he stuck with them, and we got what we asked for. So
Another big thing was discipline. Out of 10 ball games this year, the team has been penalized for over 100 yards in 8 of those games. Maybe
wow,
7 or 8 of those games.
wow, and
Discipline.
I want to say most of those might be holdings, personal fouls on the offense. We may have had a few defensive pass interference, but a lot of times when it's crunch time, uh, particularly the TSU game, you get a personal foul when you're
Hmm.
in TSU territory on the 25-30 yard line, which push you back to the 40, which puts your field goal kicker in a pickle. By the grace of God, we were able to, have a kicker to kick a 54 yarder and help us win the game. So, stuff like that, you just got to be disciplined. You got to discipline your players, and I think that falls back on the coach, whether he is disciplined himself, the way he acts around them, the way he moves around them, the way he acts around the field house. You got to preach that stuff day in and day out, so that they are a image of you and their coach. So,
I would, I hate that it didn't work out. Usually everybody knows when you have these coaches press conferences in your mind, you hope that guy's there for 10 years and he retires.
mhm.
Um, and that's the ultimate goal. And for that to not to happen, Coach Dooley came with a lot of excitement. He came with a lot of fanfare. Um, it felt like nostalgia. And for it not to work out, man, I'll tell anybody, man, it's not a good feeling that it didn't work out.
No, not at all. I mean, we thought this was the next reincarnation of Pete Richardson, or at least a different current day version of him. But that turned out not to be the case. Let's
And
see.
I'll say this to anybody who says that. Why would anyone think that? If you look at what Pete Richardson had accomplished before he got to Southern and Winston Salem State, and looked at Eric Dooley's resume at Prairie View before he got to Southern, the two were not in the same ballpark of each other.
No,
There was nothing indicating a return to football of old outside of Eric Dooley being on those staffs of old.
I know from my standpoint, I figure it was easier to win at Southern University than at Prairie View. I feel like it was a better job. He would be able to recruit better players for his system. Um, Obviously, his pass stops. He had Jalen Morton and can't think of the other kid from Louisville name he had at PV. And
Oh
then
yeah.
you had those type of players in your offense that made him look good. And obviously, when he came to Southern University, he didn't have those type of quarterbacks in his offense to make him look good. So I think that lack of quarterback play forced him to try to coach, and I don't think he tried to coach. He just um, tried to make his system work, which it didn't. So, and like we talked about earlier, that's the lack of adjustment. So,
I mean, but at the end of the day, man, I wish coach well, and whatever he does next, and will support him in whatever he does next.
Jawan.
Um, that's your one pass. So like I said, wish coach nothing but the best.
You
But we
heard
know in
any
a couple of
word?
weeks ago we talk about potential candidates, man. That's something that's going to be talked about ad nauseum um, over the next couple of weeks or so.
Oh yeah. So I think this needs to be a home run hire. I think, and I know Coach Banks knows that. And I know Jaguar Nation knows that because we can't have a repeat of the last coach. So I think this next coach definitely probably needs to know the area within the state of Louisiana. I also think he needs to know the area of Southern University with having a lack of resources and kind of making something out of nothing. And then I also think the next coach needs to be disciplined, which we have been lacking in the past 2 years. Um, so I think three of those things. Needs to be a great recruiter. Also, um, I think three of those things would be a good qualities of next coach. So, what about you?
I'm gonna tell you the same thing. I don't place as much emphasis on the Louisiana ties.
Okay.
I don't, and I don't understand. In the year 2023, the year of our Lord, why would anybody still place emphasis on that? This is 2023. Recruiting is done differently.
You're right. You got
Literally, you can recruit from your phone and Twitter. Like so, I've never understood that. Pete Richardson came to Southern with no ties to the state of Louisiana. All right. It doesn't matter where you come from if you can coach. Urban Meyer had no ties to the state of Florida when he went to Florida. Bobby Bowden had no ties to Florida when he went to Florida State. So having a tie to a state, this is not 1990 where you get out and you gas up the Subaru and go to high school to high school. That doesn't work that way.
hmm
Someone said they think Eric Randall would be a good candidate. Man, hey man, if we're gonna throw some real candidates out here, let's throw some real candidates. Eric Randall is not a good candidate for this job. You just simply like Eric Randall.
Yeah, I don't think Eric Randall hasn't coached on the college level, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah. And I kind of agree. I guess, like you said, today and age, we can get on the phone and recruit and call, tweet, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Now, also, I kind of think the talent level in Louisiana has fell off. I could be wrong, but
Don't
just
know what the dogs in Louisiana. Don't get it twisted. It's dogs in
oh yeah,
Louisiana.
for sure, for sure. I mean, we look at LSU right now, the two best receivers in the country, arguably, right there from Lafayette and Baton Rouge. So it's definitely still some dogs. Um, but yeah, there have been a lot of names floating around as far as next coaches. I'm just kind of laughing at some of the names that I done heard, but I don't really have a top three right now. But these some of the bigger names that I wouldn't mind. First of all, Chennis Berry, coach at Benedict. Coach Barry has been currently his second time being the SEAC Coach of the Year. I also won the SEAC past 2 years by a landslide. I think lost in the first round of the Division II playoffs last year. What's good,
Second
brother?
round.
Yeah, second round against one of those
Wingate.
Wingate. Okay, and so I think there'll be a. coming up on the playoff this week or next week they start. So I
Yeah,
see
playoff
Coach.
starts. Yeah, playoff starts this week. They have a first round bye. They have the number one overall seed in Division Two playoffs. They'll be sitting back, um, having the bye week, get an opportunity to scout two teams to see who they'll end up with.
Yep. And Coach Chennis is a guy who is familiar with Southern University as a former offensive coordinator. Um, I didn't look up how many points he averaged as an offense, but I think it was more than at least 24 points, more than 24 points a game, which I don't think we've averaged in the last 2 years. So, Coach Chen is
Uh,
very. Go ahead.
you gotta give him his credit. When Chennis Berry, remember we had the nickel, the offensive line, a
Hmm.
staple of Southern University, how physical they were. We're talking about when he was the offensive coordinator. The offense was consistently in the top 10 nationally from as far as running the football. Yards per carry, rush yards. They were pretty solid there. They didn't get the production from the quarterback position that a lot of people would like to see. Bubba McDaniel lit up Texas Southern and had some other good games, but uh, staple of physicality, and that's what he does at Benedict. Same thing.
Yeah, and I see some kind of similarities with Coach Odom. Um, when you hear sometimes when you hear Coach Odom talk, he's a very good motivator, and you can also see that in Coach Chennis Berry, which I didn't really see the motivator type in Dooley. Just kind of go out there and play. Get hyped up on your own type stuff. So I like that in Coach Berry also. The next coach who I would like or whose names I've heard is Gabe Fertitta, current analyst at Florida State, um, former analyst at Louisville, and then former head coach at Catholic in Baton Rouge. Another guy who knows the area, um, and who's probably able to recruit. I heard he brought the kid from Opelousas to Florida State, um, who's currently one of the best receivers in the country. I can't think of the dude's name. I don't know why.
Coleman.
Coleman, yeah, Keon Coleman, who came from Michigan State.
Mhm.
I think that'll be a decent hire. Will SU hire a white coach? I'm not sure. Um, but
My pushback to Gabe Fertitta, what on his interview says, what on his resume says head coach. He's been an analyst. He's not been a coordinator. He's not been a position coach. I challenge people to think when they say these things. Well, he brought in this guy. Guess what? When Tony Hughes was the name the head coach at Jackson State, he had brought in a lot of people at Mississippi State to hear recruiting.
yeah,
Like, hey, interview him. See, I mean, kind of see what he got to get a start somewhere.
yep,
Interview him. You kind of see, what philosophy he has or he doesn't have.
right. I guess my next name is Marty Biaggi, current special teams
Ooh,
current special teams coach at Notre Dame, who coached at Southern from 2010 to 12 or 13. And then he also coached at Pine Bluff, I think, from 12 or 13 to 15. So he's pretty familiar with the SWAC, and he's familiar with the area of Southern University. And I'm sure he might have some connections with Notre Dame with some kids that might want to transfer out of there. It's pretty decent. So um, this is a guy who, if you talk to former players in the past 10 years who played under him, they speak pretty highly of Coach Biaggi. One of my best friends played at Pine Bluff under him, and he speaks highly of him. I talked to some former SU players, and they also speak highly of him too. So that I think that might be one of the good options. Also,
absolutely.
what you got?
So I want to ask if Trey Oliver would take our call. No one knows. The thing with Trey Oliver is he's at home. He's coaching at his alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
He's a player, graduate, alumnus of North Carolina Central. So is his wife. He's at home. It's hard to beat that. Not saying that you can't beat it. I'm just saying it's hard to beat being at home.
Yeah, I agree. When I heard his name, I was like, he left, he went back to his roots. I mean, it'll have to be probably a significant amount of money for him to come back down this way. So
Yeah.
uh, he only got to deal with what 6 teams now too. So um, are they going to the Celebration Bowl this year?
We'll see. If Howard wins on Saturday, Howard goes. And
Ah,
North Carolina Central will be in the FCS playoffs.
okay. So here's some other names I've heard. David Johnson at Florida State. Well, actually, the Advocate released the article. They had David Johnson, Jabbar Luke on there, Chennis
Jabbar
Berry,
Luke.
Willie Totten, and I can't think of the other name. Uh, can't remember. But I know David Johnson and Jabbar Jaluk. Obviously, we can't afford. I don't think. I know Jaluk makes around $450,000 to $500,000. So if it's about money, that's definitely out of the picture. I'm sure David Johnson probably makes well within that same amount. So I want to say it's pretty safe to say we can cross out those two. I'm not sure about the offensive coordinator at Tulane either. So uh,
Slade Nagel.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I've
know,
heard.
sometimes it's not all about money. Sometimes coaches are willing to take pay cuts to be the man.
Okay.
And we've seen that before where guys have lost their left position coach jobs at the Power Five level.
Hmm.
Texas Southern is just getting rid of a guy that just did the same thing. He was at
Right.
Arizona. He was at Texas A&M. Another reason I bring that up. Sometimes we see Power Five schools, um, but next to a guy's resume, and get excited if they just because they're at a Power Five school. I mean, they're going to bring in some type of elite level of coaching.
Right.
You've seen that at Texas Southern. You've seen that at Alabama A&M. You've seen it at multiple different places.
Hmm.
So I always tell people to look deeper at just at what school they were at.
Right. And I think Jaluk is one of those guys. Jaluk has been blessed to work with a plethora of talented running backs. I probably want to say all of his running backs have all made it to the league, but I do think Jaluk probably was brought on as a face or recruiter um, for the first part, and not as a coach. So, I mean, you got to look at things like that. Um, and yeah, but a lot of players have made him look good, and he's been able to have a successful go at the FBS running back coach route too.
I give Jaluk his credit. Most of those running backs that made him look good, he recruited.
Oh yes.
He identified the talent and he brought him in. You got to give him credit for that. And for you to hang around at the FBS level for as long as he has, there's a skill there. What that skill is, I don't know, because he hasn't been promoted up to coordinator yet, and that's a little concerning with the amount of time that's been up there. But hey, let's see how it plays out. Like I'm open to listening to people who apply for the job. I think this hire is important.
What you think?
And go ahead.
What you think about this Leftwich Ryan Clark?
There's somebody that has a pipe dream and it doesn't even sound realistic. Why would you hire Ryan Clark, who has never coached football, to come in to coach Southern University when you're coming off the debacle that you're coming off of?
Hmm.
Like this is one of those you can't experiment with this one. This one has to be right.
And I've heard this in recent. I think people have brought Marshall Falk up, and I think Ray Lewis. Also, some more coaches that names have popped up. They talk about these guys, these celebrity coaches having connections. I look at a guy like Ryan Clark, who's all over ESPN. who's on the podcast, and I can imagine if he was to be the coach, this kind of being like a Dion situation. Maybe not as flashy, but you would have the entertainer athletes on the yard coming to see the team play and stuff like that. And I kind of do think people see what Dion did, and they kind of want issue to be in that same spotlight as what Dion did. So I think that's why people are bringing up these celebrity coach names.
There's one Dion.
That is true.
There's one Dion.
Not even Ray Lewis.
There's one Dion.
So anybody on your list who you would like to see?
I haven't seen his name come up. But I mean the list so far: Trey Oliver, Shinsbury, Bam Bam.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another guy whose name has not come up on the list, and it's Henry Frazier the third.
Mm-hmm.
And the work that he's done at Virginia State this year, led them almost to a division title. He's taking over that ball club. He has a young man that's going to be in the Senior Bowl this year. And they were just on the outside looking in as far as the Division Two playoffs. He's done an outstanding job there. Was at Bowie State, had that program rolling, assistant head coach with Damon Wilson. We
Mm-hmm.
know what he was able to do at Prairie View, getting that program from no scholarships to winning the SWAC championship in 2009. So that's a guy. If you look at his resume and what he's done, his win-loss record, it looks pretty good. So Henry Frazier, I call him Henry Frazier Three Sticks. He's a guy that I would want to have a chat with.
Oh yeah. So um, Banks says it'll be a focus search. Can you tell everybody what a focus search is?
I'm not gonna lie to everybody. I have no idea what they mean by that.
I think the question came and was, will there be a search firm hired, or will he be making the decision? And I think the answer was there will be a focus search in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It sounds like Coach Banks has a list of people who he hasn't reached out to, which is what he said at the press conference. But I'm sure we'll be reaching out to these guys in the next few weeks. I know a lot
One
of the
thing,
guys we've mentioned are in the playoffs and will be in bowl games too. So um, I I think I don't know when early signing day is, and would we like to have a coach before signing day? So maybe we can pluck a few recruits at early signing day, or will we probably need to wait till the February signing day? That I don't know. So
I'll say this: the more people in the room, the more nervous I get. When you make these decisions like this, the
uh-huh.
more people are in the room, the more nervous I get.
Does his list need to be transparent?
Not necessarily.
No, I don't
I
think so.
mean, you tell us, at the end of the day, man, keeping up with this is like watching the election. All right, I don't watch the election because all you're doing is just watching people count. I'll come back when they get done counting
Hmm.
and get what I need to get. There's nothing that you're getting from watching the thing unwind. We all get the same thing when they done counting. So I mean, I kind of take it that you don't want to tell too much of what you're doing because agents will use that. Other schools are looking for coaches. I'm pretty sure there will be some other jobs that are going to be opening up over the next couple of weeks and so forth. So there has to be a degree of some strategy there.
No, I don't think nobody checked on Adrian. Yeah, I don't think his hire needs to be transparent. Um, I mean,
I mean, be transparent enough, but you got
yeah.
to tell everything.
At the end of the day, his job is to be our AD and to make these decisions. Um, I look at it like the NBA, like um, the NBA, like you can't tell who's gonna win the game in the first, second, third, or fourth quarter. You got to wait to the last 2 minutes the way it's been going. And like you said, I'll come back, at the end when it's all said and done, and check and see who we've decided to go with. Um, I I think like somebody mentioned earlier, this hire might be one of the biggest hires in SU history. Like this hire decides whether we can return to prominence or we go back into the deep dark shadows of the SWAC, possibly forgotten. So um, I pray to the picture of my Jaguar when I leave the house, and I'm gonna pray to him in the next couple of weeks, or she, excuse me, that we hopefully make the right decision and bring the right coach on the bluff, to lead us to prominence again. So,
Hey, one bad coaching decision is rough.
oh yeah,
Two is detrimental to your program.
hmm a lot of people have been real hard on Coach Banks. A lot of people wanted Dooley to go, and a lot of people want Banks to go because they some people think he's not capable of doing a job or capable of hiring a good candidate, not just for football but all sports. Hopefully, this Kevin Johnson job works out. Hopefully, baseball can shake back, and hopefully, we can get another volleyball coach because we ain't won
His,
it.
his hires have left a lot left to be desired.
Yeah. So, um, but that was word that Banks is getting an extension. So, if that tickles anybody fancy, but yeah, we do got a game coming up next week, Bayou Classic. Um, uh, AD Banks did announce that Coach Sean Wallace will be acting coach. Uh,
Sean Strong.
yep, and then Coach Graves will be the interim coach. I think Coach Willie Totten probably will be calling plays this weekend. I know Coach Graves mentioned that they go let the offensive guys do what they do with the game plan, and they go get a good game plan for the defense for us to be successful next week. We go in playing Grambling, who's also 4-3 in SWAC and 5-5 overall. We're both tied for third place. Um, so this is gonna be a good battle. Two pretty equal teams, I think. Grambling came out smoking, I think, with their offense. With a Chance Williams at a running back. I saw his mom on an Instagram post the other day, and she was talking a lot of noise in favor of her son. So, um, he's pretty much probably one of the best backs in the SWAC outside of Ladarius Owens. So I think the defense will have their hands tied with stopping Chance Williams and the Grambling offense. Now, as of lately, some Grambling fans have been upset at their offense, so we don't know if we go see early season Grambling offense who put up a decent amount of rushing yards against LSU, or are we going to see the same offense that how many points did they score against Alabama State? 6.
It was, yeah,
Yeah. So we don't know.
6.7 sacks. It was 8 sacks.
8 sacks. So, but all those stats go out the window. Obviously, this is the Bayou Classic. This is the biggest rivalry in the country. You put this up with Ohio State, Michigan, um, and all the other big rivalries they talk about. So the players should be hyped up and charged up to play this game, regardless of the coaching situation. I know I would be. So
Hey, you don't need a lot of talk, a lot of conversation to get you excited about the one next week. Um, and if you had any motivation, man, Coach Sean Wallace be the head coach of the Dale Bayou Classic. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. That motivates me, and I ain't even suiting up
right,
anymore. So man, just man, we'll go do this for Sean Wallace next week.
right.
We'll go do this for Sean Wallace.
And Coach Sean Wallace is still continuing his donations for the Sean Wallace Foundation. I think you can go on. GoFundMe and search for Sean Wallace Foundation. I think that's where you can give. Um, we cross our fingers. We'll have Coach Sean Wallace on here in a few days. And can come talk to us and talk about the foundation, talk about his condition and Jaguar Nation. So we hope to have him on here, and get us pepped up and piped up for the Bayou Classic. I kind of looked at the interviews today at the press conference, and man, I think Coach Wallace and Coach Graves
Mm-hmm.
answered that question very articulate, very outspoken
Yes.
guys.
Yes.
And I was very impressed with both of those guys, man. So I think with those two at the helm, man, like you said, you there's no way you can't be motivated for this game. So I think it'll be a good showdown, and hopefully we're able to come out with the win and go out on a good note.
Blake got a good question. He said, "What if PV, Alcorn, and Grambling lose? Who would win the West? It would be Prairie."
Yep, because PV beat Alcorn and Gremlin.
No, they lost to Grambling.
You sure?
Prairie
Uh,
View lost to Grambling.
okay, okay. SU80.
Prairie View lost to Grambling, but Grambling lost to Alcorn. Alcorn beat Prairie View.
So it's a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Banks did sound a little lost or lost for words. Um, and I've always said speaking is probably not Coach Banks' forte. Um, Coach Banks came from a basketball coach background. What you need to communicate with your players, but in front of big crowds and on TV, probably not. And honestly, I probably think Coach Banks might be, I don't know, taking orders from somebody else. So, but that's me. That's me. I don't want to speculate either. It sound like this, Coach. That's like, yep. So, yeah, next week is Bayou Classic. We have the parade on Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. I think it starts at 3 o'clock, right in front of the Superdome. Goes down Padres, makes the loop on the canal, come all the way back to the Superdome. Friday is the Battle of the Bands, obviously, and a Greek show. And then obviously we have the game on Saturday at 2 p.m. I
I
think
think it's at one.
I mean, a little earlier
Mm-hmm.
here. So um, please make sure y'all wake up, get y'all tickets, and support the Jags on this coming up Thanksgiving weekend. They also have the Bayou Classic press conference on this Monday in the Superdome, which they have every year. I think you can view it on Facebook somewhere. I'm sure
Yeah, you
y'all
can put it on Facebook. Yeah.
yeah. 2 Eastern. So yeah, one PM. Thank you, Ashley.
And this 50th anniversary, man, 50th celebration of the Bayou Classic, man. Make sure you guys come out, man. Support this group of guys, this group of seniors that's going out. Um, Support this football team and this coaching staff.
Hmm.
Regardless of what may have happened during the year, and unfortunately, Coach Dooley is not no longer with us, but continue to support this team. At the end of the day, it's all about Southern University. We got to support these guys no matter whether we're up, down, or indifferent.
Right.
Our passion and what we have should still shine through the same way. So, going to New Orleans, support these guys, man. We're going to root them to victory. We're going to give Coach Sean Wallace a big one in his hometown.
Oh yes, for sure. I want to shout out our other co-host, Catrice, who's not here tonight. Um, um, who's hard at work tonight again. As y'all know, Catrice works for the Houston Rockets in the marketing department. So every game day, she is busy running the day-to-day stuff during the game. So um, we want to shout out her and hope she's doing well on her job.
Shout
Um,
out to Trees.
yep. And guys, if y'all want to talk about anything on the show, just message us on Instagram, my personal OSU Quarterback Club Instagram page, on the Facebook page, on the Twitter. We can talk about anything. But moving forward, we'll be talking more about basketball as we look forward to good things in basketball. Like I said earlier, we also will try to have Coach Sean Wallace on here if he has time in the next few days before the Bayou Classic. Let's see, anything else? Oh, if any of you guys work for any of these companies that are hiring students out of college, man, make sure y'all can reach out to us. I know there are a lot of players who are seniors who are looking for entry level opportunities in different companies. So if you guys have any type of jobs you could help out with that we can send to these student athletes, please reach out to us. But if there isn't anything else, we're gonna be signing out. It's your boy Al,
And it's your boy BJ Jones.
and we'll see y'all next time on the SU Quarterback Club podcast.
Go
Peace and go
Jags.
Jags.